Speaking of wickedly cool, I think we're at a time in history here now where you have Windows Server 2008 Release 2, R2 as you call it, Windows 7 on the desktop, things like SharePoint, Office 2010. I mean, it's really, for someone like me who started with NetWare and NT351 and NT4, and some various flavors of Unix, this is really a robust, powerful, scalable, manageable suite of products. I mean, we're at a good time.
Yeah, we're at a great time, and even when you think about not only all those local things that we can do in our data center today, we're on the verge from an IT perspective of being able to leverage computing power we've never been able to do for our web applications. When you look at the cloud capabilities now that we can start reducing infrastructure, you can look at the remote desktop, and virtualization itself and all the stuff that we can do is just dynamic. I had a chance to speak with a gentleman who was talking about virtualizing his workloads, and he runs almost 90% of his workshop on virtualized workloads. And he was doing some analysis, and his CFO comes to him one day, why are we saving $500 in electricity? And it was just the benefit of the reduced hardware, the reduced cooling that they don't no longer do. So we're in such an exciting world to be able to work with it. I think hopefully we're starting to get past that thing that when you look at an IT shop in an environment today, they're seen oftentimes as a cost center, where money kind of goes to die, where we have to buy things. Where now I think we're starting to see a gradual shift that companies are starting to realize that the IT departments are strategic assets to the success and growth of the company. And it's one of those things that when you can start getting your IT shop to be a strategic asset, amazing things happen to you from an IT perspective.
You talk about virtualization, which I think is one of those killer apps. It's not really an app, but one of those really leapfrogs in technology in the cloud. Now, explain for us what's Microsoft Azure.
Microsoft Azure, it's pretty blue. No, I'm kidding. Windows Azure is basically a platform for your applications. So think about today when you have an application that's going to be on your web front end. How do you install that app? You install it on a server, you scale it out. Well, let's say you're a retail company. What happens around Christmas time to your application? It gets overloaded and worked in. And you have to plan for that. And as an IT pro with a data center on premise, you have to take a look at that workload and you have to guess right. And chances are you overguess because you don't want to underguess, because underguess, especially around a retail business around Christmas time, means you lose revenue.
Costs you money, yeah.
And then possibly it's what I call a CLM, a career limiting move for you as an IT professional. So you overguess. But the challenge we have with local data centers is simply this, is that when you look at that local data center, you have that period of time. What happens when you're not in Christmas time? Well, now you have all this unused horsepower that you can't really do anything, so you got to kind of keep it static, and you're paying for that. You're managing that. You have to worry about that. And it depreciates over time. It's an IT asset. So what Azure does, it takes the platform to the next level. Now, it's a brilliant commercial for a competitor, but you probably all remember it. It's this commercial where these people start their startup company and they get one hit, they're all excited. They get 10 hits, they get excited, they get 100 hits, they start getting excited, but then they start getting worried. They get 500, they get 5,000, and all of a sudden they realize they're under capacity from what they can do. They're excited because they're making money, but now all of a sudden they start losing money in that same realm of things. What Azure does, it gives your web applications a platform that can be automatically scaled up or scaled down based on the need of the application at the time. And from my standpoint, from an IT perspective, if you need 10 computers or 10,000 computers, you can do that within Azure. And one of the great things about being able to scale with that cloud environment and scale with that platform, think about how long it would take you to install just 10 new computers inside of an IT shop today. And then if you add in all the planning and the budget that goes on, you're talking 6 months to a year to get a new server into your infrastructure. With Azure, it takes about 15 minutes the minute you edit one XML document and upload that change. And not only will it add all those servers, it will automatically scale your application, modify all the DNS records, and automatically work with it. So from my standpoint, when I look at it from an IT store, there's not a great story yet from a standpoint of what we can do to integrate with the cloud, although I will tell you there's all kinds of exciting tools that are going to be coming down the pipe, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to talk about some of them after Tech Ed. But there's all kinds of exciting stuff for it. A lot of people think, well, that's going to take away my job. No. You still have to monitor it, because how do you know when to say I need 10 more computers or 5 more computers, or when do I turn all that compute power off? You still have to monitor and see what's happening, but it gives your platform really an ability to scale beyond what we've ever been able to do from a local data center. And when people think about Azure, they sometimes think it's an all or nothing thing. From Microsoft perspective, we're very much all in when it comes to the cloud. Steve Ballmer said that. As a company, it's the right thing to do for our strategy as we move forward, not only for our customers, but for just our regular data centers and the types of things that we need to do. But when you think about the cloud, you don't have to run your entire application up in the cloud. You can mix and match it. One of the companies that actually does, and I can't remember the name of the company, but they do videos for passed away loved ones. So it's kind of a morbid idea, but they run their website locally. But if you think about the amount of pictures and videos and music files that people go in to make a video for their loved ones as they passed away, there's no way that this company can guess at how much storage they're going to need.
Yeah.
You know, you're hitting terabytes in a heartbeat. So what they use is they use the web front end on their local, and they use Azure to scale out the storage. So it's not only about compute power and scaling that out, but also scaling storage out. And you can mix and match to find some needs. My favorite case study, and I would encourage anybody to go take a look at, is Kelley Blue Book. And when we talk about cost savings, and there's an ROI calculator as well about Azure, one of the interesting things about Kelley Blue Book is they looked at the workload, and they actually make this in their case study, the statement in the case study blew me away. They looked at the workload they were running in the cloud, and if they converted that to a local data center, in other words, they brought everything on premise, the bill they're paying for Azure, because you pay for Azure as you go, it's kind of like electricity,
right.
but the bill they pay for Azure would barely power that data center they'd have to build, just
Wow.
to power,
Wow.
not to manage all the management costs. So they're seeing true savings back into it. Not only does it give them the business advantage of being able to scale as the demand needs and ratchet it back. So Azure is an exciting world, and it's something as an IT you don't hear a lot about it because it was all about developers writing in the cloud and doing things with that. But it's something you have to be aware of and go educate yourself on Azure. Just go to Azure.com or Microsoft.com/Azure to find out more about it. Because if you're not being asked about it now, I can guarantee in the next year you're going to be asked about how do I work with the cloud and those types
Right,
of
I've been hearing a
applications.
lot about it.